Horrible teammate.
When you had a little tummy issue.
I'm done talking to you. Let's bring in our next guest, talk a little Michigan football, as Sam Webb's been kind enough to join us over the last couple of years. Hey, y'all still cheating up there in Ann Arbor, or what? What's the deal? How much cheating are you guys going to do? And is Sharon Moore actually coaching this game? I keep getting confused on which games he's actually suspended for, Sam.
So, first of all, when we go back and check the tape, you might recall the sign stealer guy was only around for the bummy games, you know, when they were playing the Little Sisters of the Poor. But the sign stealer guy wasn't there for Penn State. He wasn't there for Ohio State.
Okay.
He wasn't there when they beat Bama or when they beat Washington in the national championship game. You know, for all the real games, sign stealer, the guy wasn't there for any of those games.
So y'all only cheated. Hold on, y'all only cheated in the small games, right? That's what you're saying.
I mean, he wasn't even around for the games that counted. So I mean, if you really wanted to kind of count those games that you know, you needed the point spread in. Maybe the bettors wanted to use him, you know, if you want to count that. But, yeah, Sharon he'll be gone for Central Michigan and Nebraska on the road.
Okay, so let me apologize. Like, what a terrible welcome to the show. As many times as you've given your time to come on here, that was not the way we wanted to start this. So I apologize for my co-host. Let's talk. No.
I don't apologize for anything. I was going to get in your mic. Give me the one shot. Sam, I don't apologize for anything. You guys were cheaters down there, and he shouldn't be playing this game.
That's hilarious. You know what? In the SEC, when the SEC was the only place paying people, funny how SEC was the only place winning titles. And then when
don't know what you're talking about, Sam. Don't know what you're talking about.
Suddenly, everyone else started winning.
Never
titles.
happened. Dorothy Mantooth is a saint. She's a saint. That never happened, Sam. It never happened.
When everyone can pay, and when the scales get balanced, now everyone starts winning titles. See how that works? I'm just saying.
Well, let's get into this year's team, man, because I was looking back last year, some of the statistics. I mean, Michigan offensively was one of the worst in the country when it came to total offense and scoring offense. It looks a lot different. Is it as simple as they've got their guy in Bryce Underwood, or are there other things offensively that have Wolverine fans feel a lot more optimistic about that side of the ball?
Yeah, look, you said a mouthful. You got a quarterback who can balance the offense. I don't think there's any question about it. And then you got I think a coordinator who can accentuate the positives. I don't think that there's any question that even with the limitations that Michigan had offensively last year, that there are probably things that could have been done that could have taken better advantage of the tools that they had, but they were severely limited, make no mistake. But to have Bryce Underwood, a guy with the immense talent that he has, and you saw last week, this is probably the most talented quarterback Michigan has ever had, certainly in the last, 3 decades, maybe since Drew Henson, the most talented quarterback Michigan has had. And then you see that it's more than just the physical talent, guys. I think that's the thing that we marveled at. I've known Bryce since he was a freshman in high school. So, you know, I could tell you physically that he's a transcendent talent. But the immense confidence that he has, and then the ability to master the magnitude of the moment, that I think is what separates him. And so how quickly would the coaches trust him, though? That would be the true test. And there was a 3rd and 14 right before the half. There were 2 possessions before that where New Mexico had scored. I think the score was 17-10, and everything told you that Michigan should, you know, run the football and punt this ball. And Michigan didn't do that. Sharon, Chip Lindsey, the new offensive coordinator, they tell him to drop back and throw for the sticks. And so they trusted him on a 3rd and 14, backed up against their own end zone with 2 minutes to go in the first half on a 3rd and 14 to throw the football. And he converted the first down. They wound up scoring a touchdown before the half. And that is, to me, what I'm talking about. From the neck up, what this young man has as a true freshman in his first game that separates him from most other freshman stars is that he can master the moment, that he can handle the pressure. Now, it's going to be a different pressure when he goes down to Norman making a mistake. But Bryce Underwood is truly different, and I think that's what has Michigan fans optimistic that this is not your typical freshman, not even your typical five-star freshman.
No, and obviously there was a whole discourse on social media, Sam, yesterday about generational talent, but when you watch the film and watch what he was able to do, there looks like a generational talent right now with Bryce Underwood. I want to flip it to the other side because I think John Mateer has a little wiggle to him as well, too. The Deshaun Barnum suspension right now, going to be out for that first half because of the targeting rule that was obviously, I think, very questionable, but that's the letter of the law now. How big of an impact is that for this Michigan front?
I think it's significant. I think you gotta be mindful of John Mateer's ability to get outside the pocket, to break contain, his improvisational skill, his not just, to me, him being able to run around the yard, but him being able to extend plays and throw the football down the football field. That's where he's truly dangerous. And the game that stands out to me was the Texas game, second game of the season last year. Quinn Ewers getting out of the pocket and throwing the football down the field is the cautionary tale. Michigan did an exceptional job in the last game of the season last year, really corralling Jalen Milroe. So if you want a game that, if you're the Michigan coaching staff, where they did a great job of maintaining rush lane integrity, of corralling a quarterback, you watch the Jalen Milroe tape. If you want a game where they did a terrible job of maintaining rush lane integrity, you go back and watch the Texas game, where it just was an exercise in futility of keeping track of Quinn Ewers. And these are two totally different quarterbacks in terms of their danger when it comes to running around, but you still see the danger of when you don't maintain your rush lane integrity. So Michigan should have an advantage up front. Their defensive line isn't necessarily Oklahoma's defensive line, and it's not what their defensive line was last year, but it's still really good, and they should have an advantage over a challenged Oklahoma defensive line. But they have got to keep track of John Mateer. They got to maintain their rush lanes. If they do that, they should do a good job against this quarterback.
Along those same lines, talk about getting outside of the pocket, extending plays. That puts a lot of pressure on the secondary, having to cover for extended periods of time. I walked in today, there's nobody that's outside of you that's more passionate about Michigan football than one of our great producers, GR3, who I know you know. He's extolling the good and the bad, I walk right into it first thing today, and he's talking about concern in the secondary. Do you have concern about
Absolutely.
that part of the defense?
Absolutely. I think if you're Michigan heading into the season, you were really bullish on this team, on this defense, not having a precipitous drop-off in performance despite the loss of a lot of talent, but you're concerned about one position depth-wise, and that's corner. I mean, you're transitioning a safety to corner in Zeke Berry, who's going into, I think, maybe his fourth or fifth start, and he's shown you a lot of promise, but it's still his fourth or fifth start at corner, and then Jair Hill at the other corner, who's really, really talented, but, it's still a work in progress as far as his consistency. And then after that, I mean, you got a transfer in Caleb Anderson, who still hasn't played at Michigan. You got Shamari Earls, who's an exceptional freshman talent, but he didn't play last week. And then you're still talking about a bunch of first and second year guys after that. It's just not a very deep position as far as experience is concerned. And so, that if you're Oklahoma, you're looking at that and saying, hey, we got some opportunities there. If we can protect John Mateer, that is where we can exploit Michigan. It's not running the football, because Michigan, they go 10 deep on the defensive line. The linebacker position is deeper than they were even in the national championship year. You have got to try to attack them on the corner. Safety is one of the deepest positions on the team. You got to try to get to their corners. If you're going to exploit them anywhere, that's the spot.
It's going to be a fantastic matchup. All joking aside, we give you hell, but we love you, man. It's going to be great because there's going to be some narratives afterward, one way or another. SEC, Big Ten, they're tied at 11 games apiece since 2022. We'll have some fun with regardless of what happens in that game. Sam, we appreciate the time. All right.
Yeah, X Factor guys. is going to be the quarterback, Bryce Underwood, running the football. You mark my words. If Michigan can rush for 200 yards, Bryce Underwood will be a part of that running the football.
We'll see. Sam Webb joining us here on the show.
We didn't even
Always
get into
great
talking
stuff.
about the homecoming for Sharon Moore either.
That's, well, again, remember.